Welcome to Cool Time. Cool Time is Kinks of our lives. Today we're going to start at BDSM 101. We're going to answer any and all questions that people have. Hopefully this is live. We've been having some technical issues. Jenny is with us, says howdy. How you doing, Jenny? We're going to be taking all questions now about BDSM 101. And I just wanted to quickly, while we get some of the cool stuff up here in questions, I'm going to quickly change my name. And know that we have a new site. It is letter R, U, 1, the number 1, and then of, OF, us. And it takes you to a great space, and that's what it is, .space, where it has a lot of stuff for geeks and kinky people. So I do not know why that did not work the way it was supposed to do. I tried to change the name, and apparently it didn't change. So, all right. I'm going to show the site here. So we're going to put this up. Here we go. So this is, of course, me on TikTok. And we have gotten to a good place right now where we now can actually show off playlists. And the playlists are a good thing for us because now we can tell you where to look for things. Hello, Michelle. So I want to point out right here, and you guys can see this, and let me see if I can make this a little smaller so we can get more of a look on it. See here where the mouse is going over? These are our playlists. And I just finished today. I think there's one more video, BDSM 001. So if you want to go back and look at the videos, that's a great idea. If you have a friend who's just starting, this is all the stuff that should be gone over. Now I'm going to take all your comments, all your thoughts on what we should be covering. And just to Wandering Alice, the co-host, I believe I sent you the link. If I didn't, I can send you another link. All you do is you click the link and it should automatically open. If you're having a problem, though, you can join me here back on TikTok. Your voice should be picked up. But it should just, and I can actually send you, give us 1 second, or again, more technical stuff, but we'll get there tonight. I'm going to open up my TikTok. Not my TikTok, my FetLife profile, and try to send it to you there. So just so you have it. Hopefully I'm not sharing this right now. I don't think I'm sharing the screen, thank God. I would definitely be in trouble with TikTok right now if I had shared when I opened up TikTok. When I opened this up. All right, so I am sending it to you right now. It's part of an older conversation. You should theoretically, if you're on an iPhone or anything with a web browser, just be able to hit that link and instantly be able to join. If that's not working, we'll keep trying to work it out. So yeah, we have these playlists now, which is going to neaten us up, and you can see the playlist go from consent to BDSM 001 to 101 to K-EDU. So 001 should be brand new out of the box. 101 is the thing that you all want to make sure you have under your belt. K-EDU is, I thought about doing like a 201 or 203, but like it gets confusing. I think once you're past 101, you should base everything now on what video you want to watch. And that's why we label all of our videos and we put these signs on top of it. And I'm noticing that on, as weird as this sounds, for some reason, it doesn't always show the preview screens that we normally have, but they are there. I promise you that. So you'll see it more on your phone, it seems. So 101 we have here. This is a little bit older, so we're going to go back to the profile and we're going to do the 001. Let's see what happens here. So here we go. Yeah, you'll see. So yeah, it doesn't show the preview on your computer. This is the computer. I promise you all, and I can show it to you, that it does look different when we're on. And here, you guys can see really quickly. And I'll show TikTok. TikTok is tuning in right now. See how they have little descriptors on it. I don't know why it wasn't showing there, but it is there. There are descriptors for every video, and it says what they are. I'm trying really hard to label them a lot better. So I'm not sure why it doesn't show here, but there it is. So if you guys have any questions right now about BDSM 101 or want us to do a video, please let me know, because I'm happy to do those videos. So in our 001 category, I'll read you the topics that we did have and we have already done. So this is everything you can find there. BDSM 001. Today we're going to be talking. Oh, it's so small on my little eyes. All right, let me see. Some of the topics include what is in your risk profile. Do you have Kinkdar was a question I had for the class recently. Honesty, trust, communication, listening, understanding, that's one. And one of the things I do want to talk about, since we're in the 101 category of life right now, Wandering Alice is here. Try unmuting your mic. This doesn't have the same issue as TikTok. Oh, it'd be helpful if I had my speakers on. Go ahead. Am I not hearing you? Did you say yes to your mic? This is why we need to start doing this beforehand. And that's on me, because we changed everything so last minute. I was hoping that we wouldn't be there. I see you have it on your mic. I'm seeing if it's my side that might be screwed up. Here, let me check out YouTube and see if you're coming across on YouTube. I know you think I'm an amateur at this stuff, guys, right now, but I promise you, I've actually done this many times. So bear with us. We should be live right now. I know we're live because you guys are checking us out. Here it is. I don't know why it doesn't show that we're live. It kind of stinks. All right, try saying something again. I don't know why it doesn't show that we're live. It kind of stinks. All right, try saying something again. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't show that we're live. It kind of stinks. All right, try saying something again. All right, I think the issue is that you don't have the mic attached. Just back out of it and come back in, and just pay attention if it asks you to turn on your mic, because sometimes StreamYard won't turn on the mic right away. All right, so thank you all for letting me know you can't hear her. But yeah, if we want to do different topics about BDSM 101, let me know what you guys want us to cover. Do you have any questions? Now is the time to ask. This goes to the Kickstarter, the TikTok audience as well. Let's see if Wandering Alice is with us. It won't let me change your mic volume, but if it's still not working, feel free to just jump on TikTok, and we have about 35 minutes there, so we can get something. 35. And then we could figure this out another day, why this isn't lining up the way we want it to. All right, I'm going to back out to let. Go ahead, Alice, whenever you're ready. Oh, there we go. I can just invite you. Well, creeds. So here's the thing about creeds. Creeds, and I can hear Alice. Creeds are basically romanticizing kink. Creeds are someone's idea, and we were talking about this a few minutes ago. What makes me a very different educator is that I haven't followed a pecking order. I got a lot of my information from multiple sources, did the research, did the work historically, and through other creators on different platforms. And I have learned through multiple sources. Creeds only show up in things like leather, where you're given a determined past. I mean, a determined future where you have to do all these things. Everyone's creeds, I mean, some of them can be good. I know a lot of times people say, oh, it does say on a lot of those respect, but even respect, like what does respect mean to you? These are often, these creeds can't be quantified, like consent can be quantified. So when it comes to creeds, how do I teach someone how they should respect other people? You know, on what are the other ones? Honesty, but are we really going to be honest? Are we 100% honest? What do you think about that, Alice? Could we teach creeds?
So my personal thought is I tend to find creeds or mantras or pillars. For me, they're kind of all lumped into that guiding philosophy. I find them in use a lot in houses, in leather groups, something with hierarchy. And for me, the reason I don't typically do them is I would rather come up with my own moral and ethical compass based on my experience and gain knowledge to drive how I interact, how I behave with others, as opposed to relying on a creed someone else came up with based on their experience and education. That's why I don't personally adhere to them much. We could have a creed more for the purpose of the channel, but you've kind of already set it out, and I don't feel like we need this like flowy. To me, creeds are kind of almost these flowy poems that declare what you will or won't do, and I feel like they sound pretty, but you almost over time lose the heart behind the message sometimes. Not always, but a lot of times.
I also think it's easy to say, oh, this is our creed, and never really live up, like you said, live up to it. Like, we believe in consent, and then a slave doesn't have any safe words. You know, there's always contradictions when I see creeds enacted. I think it's the public facing of something else. And I'm not saying everyone who uses creeds is bad. As Alice said, a house can have that, even a dynamic. You guys, when you're building something with another human being, you certainly will have creeds for your dynamic. You know, we'll never do this. We want to do this. One of the ones I have that I don't mind sharing with you is that if anyone tries to get between us because we're polyamory, we let the other person know this person's a problem right now. So no one gets left behind or lost or confused, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where if for you, on your personal journey, you feel highly attached to a creed, or you want a mantra or a motto or the mission statement, whatever you want to call it, if that is what works for you and your partner, or even you yourself, as say you're a solo kinky practitioner to some extent, do what works for you, but you do not need to have a creed to be valid. And I think that's the key takeaway. It's not a requirement to have one you adhere to. And another thing I've found is like, oh, I abide by the submissive creed. Okay, that's a different creed depending on every single person you ask what the creed is. So that's where it gets a little bit fuzzy with creeds, but that's the one thing with kink. You do what works for you and does not harm or negatively impact somebody who has not negotiated to have that effect.
Yeah.
If it works for you, it's not harming anybody that hasn't negotiated to any kind of thing with that, then go for it.
Now, Jenny said emotional and mental safety within BDSM. And I would almost argue that emotional and mental safety has to be so much more of a personal thing. And understand, I'm not saying you can't have your partner tag in and help you, but that's so personal. I wouldn't know how to teach you other than to teach you to communicate as a topic. What does mental safety mean to the individual, right? Because BDSM should not be therapy. Emotional, consent, obviously, right there. Make sure consent is gotten the right way and no one ever is coercing you. I can tell you the things not to do. Like, all those things are possible. But emotional and mental safety within BDSM, it all comes down to consent, negotiation, and communication. Am I getting that wrong? Is my neurodivergent brain failing me tonight, Alice?
No, and that's one of those things. There's some guiding things, like you said, consent, negotiating, good communication, right? But what might be emotionally or mentally unsafe for one person could literally be another's desire and or fantasy. So that's where it's so hard to really draw any hard lines of you should, if this ever happens, run, because every human is different, every dynamic is different, and you need to leave space for that reality of differences.
I do think for our expanded K-EDU, or KEDU as I'm calling it, I think you heard, but you weren't able to talk at the point. We are doing 001, which is what you should know before you even go to an event, before you really do anything, before you even think about playing. You should watch and know all the 001. 101 is where you start to experiment, and K-EDU is when we take it further. I don't think that the emotional and mental safety would be a BDSM 101 topic, but I certainly think it could be the K-EDU KEDU topic, because we could talk about triggers as well. So there's meat on the bone. I just can't make it perfect. I can't land it. It's back to the pillars. Everyone's gonna feel differently. It's the minutia area, and you know how I hate minutia and consent.
Yeah, and that's also where it's gonna vary so much, because there's things that I would never tell a new person, somebody very green on their kink journey. There are things that I would advise they don't do or don't jump into too quickly. There's other things that if a kinky friend of mine who's been very active in the lifestyle for 10 years, have a partner that they've been with for 5, they've worked through, they know each other well, now it might be okay for you to adventure into some of those more emotionally risky areas, because you've built up the connection, the communication, the trust, the knowledge of each other, that those really aren't so unsafe for you anymore. And that's what's so hard, is when you're teaching to an audience as large as you are, you have to teach to the safest as opposed to what will fit for everyone, right? That's kind of why there's certain topics that just we don't go into at all, because there's no way to educate on them safely for the majority of your audience.
Yeah. And we're not trying to be difficult, guys. The one thing that separates the channel out is that it is universal, is the fact that what we're teaching is really drilled into what we're teaching. Because if you're new and you start saying, well, it's different for every dynamic's different, some people ask there, you start losing the thread, and that thread, even with red flags, oh my God, what TikTok and social media has done to red flags has made it so everyone's a red flag. You're nice, red flag, And we don't want to do that. That's why when we're going to be doing our red flag series, which will be done this summer as well, we are going to focus on red flags, but I'm going to really look at red flags as being universal, the ones we cover. So if something's like, I think a red flag is someone who doesn't dress nicely. Is that a red flag, or is that a choice in fashion? And I'm going to probably not cover it. But if you tell me a red flag is that someone violates a boundary, yeah, that's a red flag. We're going to talk about someone telling you can't be friends with other people. That's a red flag. Someone telling you can't have a safe word or safety options. Yeah, hell yeah, that's a red flag. And we're going to put those up. And we're going to get rid of the noise. And that's why me and Alice came up with, I think it was late last year, the green, yellow, and orange flags, right?
Because there's a lot of stuff that I've come across with negotiating with people or talking with people, either in kind of friend and or kind of a mentor-like capacity while they're going through negotiations. I've had a lot of conversations mostly on what I call the orange or the yellow flags. Pick your color, either one works. And it's basically these things that could turn into through those because a red flag is a deal killer. We're done. Negotiation over. We will not be playing. It's those orange flags where you find out if you're actually going to be compatible as play partners. Because green flag's a green flag. There's also, other than getting consent for the green flag activity, there's not a whole lot to talk about on green flags. It's the orange flags where you live and decide whether or not you move forward.
Yeah, and now we got past 001, right? So check out, these just came to me, and some of them have been in my head, so I'm glad I'm putting it down. If you guys see me, I'm actually writing these as we go, because we're going to be doing these as singular videos in the near future. And here are 4 topics, that I think are important that we cover. Ways to mitigate confusion. Because there a lot of times confusion what leads to a lot of problems in dynamics that just no one's the bad guy, but you aren't speaking the same language. We're going to talk about language or the non-clear things, and how as a submissive you have to be very clear. Don't mix in maybes when you mean no, when you say a maybe to the doms, when someone tells you it to the tops and doms, when someone says maybe, 24-hour timeout on that topic. Then we want to talk about contract dangers in the BDSM 101. We're going to talk about negotiating. I don't think a lot of people know how to properly negotiate, to be honest. And we're going to talk about communicating. Even communicating nowadays, you have a generation that barely returns each other's texts, can't talk on a phone, interacting with generations that use beepers and codes to kind of talk to each other. And we're going to find a way to talk to each other. So I think those are great out of the gate topics. What do you think?
I do too, because I think one of the biggest things that you need to start early negotiations is getting on the same language, making sure you're working from the same dictionary. Because if you're not working from the same dictionary, when you say it's a fruit, you think orange. When they hear you say it's a fruit, they're thinking pineapple. Those are very different fruits, right? Those kind of things really do matter. And if you get that out of the way in the beginning, it will make negotiations way more smooth moving forward.
And I think that our follow-up class for this, because this is the first of many, this is us establishing basically what me and Alice are going to be bringing you for the entirety of the summer. I think we'll call summer over, what do you think, middle of August, right before, I want to say it's Labor Day, right? Labor Day. I always get Memorial Day and Labor Day mixed up. I believe it's
Labor Day up here in New York. It's Labor Day. It's the end of summer.
Yes, I think we'll go there. So until then, we're going to be doing BDSM 101 exclusively on this show. And I think what we'll do is me and Alice will kind of cherry pick what the videos we're making, topics we heard. Like, I think that the next show could easily be about communication, because we have it right here, ways to mitigate confusion. Talking about why contracts are dangerous, because that has to do with confusion, right? Contracts get confusing. Negotiating and communication. I feel like that's it. We just came up with our second class in this series. What do you think?
I agree, because without good communication, the rest of what we would talk about is a mute point.
Yep.
If you aren't establishing clear communication, or kind of those rules of engagement, so to speak, that, you know, when I say this, I mean this. When I say maybe, it means don't ask me again for 48 hours. You need to establish those rules of engagement to make the rest of it successful. Otherwise, you end up spinning your wheels and everybody leaves unhappy because you weren't on the same page to start with. Yeah,
and we're going to be doing PET on, I think I told you, if I didn't, this is news. We're going to be doing PET, which is Power Exchange Together, here on Kink Educator. So on the weeks that we're not doing the Kinks of Our Lives, we're going to be doing once a month, at least for now, we're going to be doing a conversation about Power Exchange Together. PET will be exclusive to the Kink Educator channel. This Kinks of Our Lives, who knows? Maybe we'll bring it here occasionally. PET is going to be an interesting thing. This is literally a show that we could probably do. I don't know. Are you busy next Wednesday?
I gotta check my schedule. I can message you on it.
Yeah, message later. But that would be kind of cool to put the two of them together. have Pet's first show literally be about communication, because I think that's super important in power exchange. But we'll get back to you on that. We will have a show 2 weeks from this Wednesday back on the Kink Educator channel. We'll see about next week. If Alice can't make it, I'll save it for 2 weeks, and then we'll just go with Pet next week, and we'll talk about building a dynamic. Over on our YouTube channel, we have a comment, and the comment is, negotiation is something that should be continually worked on. My dyslexia got me there. So we're talking contracts. Been in the community for a long time, and I still jump on any class about it. Negotiation is look, I interned at the Bar Association of New York City, and I learned a lot about contracts over a winter semester. I went there for, I believe it was a 12-week program, and I learned that the reason I hate contracts in BDSM is contracts are always made to benefit one person. And it's usually the person putting the most money up is the one that it's going to benefit. Most contracts are not even. And in BDSM, it's a power exchange, not a power giveaway. We're even going to be challenging the idea in the upcoming series when we're doing K-EDU, and when we're doing especially when we're doing our new Pet series, Power Exchange Together. Is submission a gift? Not tonight. That's going to be further, because I don't want to confuse everyone. I want to start. We're going to build the land work. Great comment. I do not know how to say your name, but thank you for bringing it to us. Is submission a gift? So what do you want out? That's my question to the audience right now. What do you want out of 101? What do you think BDSM 101 should be? Because I bet you when I was coming up with this, and I think me and Alice had spoken about this a couple times, I don't think most of you realize that BDSM 101 isn't the spot where you start learning how to do CNC. But so many of you on TikTok think 2 months in is a perfect time to introduce CNC, when you haven't even figured out all the 101. I could come up with, and you'll see it. We already have, I think, 41 videos in BDSM 101. The playlist, let me see. I'll tell you right now. Just in BDSM 001, which I made all those videos. Most of them are brand new, if not all of them. I think maybe 3 aren't. So in BDSM 101, although there's only 7 because they're old, but I already have 7 there, and we're probably going to redo those 7, and that starts tomorrow, as a matter of fact. And I think during this show, we are going to launch the last official. Yep, I think I can get away with it. So I can't do videos. This is a BDSM. I have to give at least an hour between videos. So the last one for the BDSM 001 series. Sorry, just me on the thing. So I do stress that just because I finished the initial setup, it does not mean we won't add more as we go. That's the great thing. We're always being challenged by you guys. That's why every time we start something, we start this way. What do you want to know? What are your expectations? This is day 1 of the summer program, officially launched 2 days before the official start of summer. For those who don't know, this Friday, summer hits the United States, Canada as well. I know there are different places with different regions, but where spring and summer and winter are all different. Any thoughts?
I wanted to add with you, I agree with you that for me, 101 doesn't include learning actual play skills. It doesn't. It's all of the safety, all of the communication, all about consent, all of the stuff you need to do before you even get to what I call the active part of a scene or the active part of my dynamic. It's how do you get to that point, but not the skills required in the active part of it. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm kind of disappointed in you guys for not coming up with topics, because just talking to Alice, I'm writing down, like, what is a DM? And spoiler, it's not a dungeon master. You know, going to your first event, these are the 101 topics. And the problem with a lot of people, and I understand it, A lot of people go to that BDSM 101 class in their local community, and it's 35 things thrown at you in a blur that you don't understand all of it. They go, consent. That's why we took things out. We don't want 35 topics. We want you to understand in 001, think of 001 as the cost of admission to kink. You have to be part of that to be in this kinky lifestyle. And if you're not going to be part of that, then you don't belong with us. That being all those rules. It is driven by consent. It is driven by how to's do things. So it is definitely one of those things that aren't. Go ahead. I hear you unmuting.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, yeah. 101, everybody goes through it. Everybody should do it. Everybody should be a part of that. That is not where kink starts to really branch in my mind. Kink starts to branch after the 101. Are you going to go to impact 101 from there? Or, dynamics 101 from there? That's where it branches out. But whether you're doing this for a total power exchange, a 24/7 dynamic, or you're doing it just for a scene 1 weekend a month, everybody should be doing these same 101 activities.
I agree.
And I think that is where people get so misconstrued about what they need to know before they go into it. And you brought up DMs, and I think that's a really good one because I've recently had conversations with people who are not brand new in their journey, but on the newer end of things, and had to explain to them that DMs aren't really actually there purely for their safety, and that they're really there to protect the venue primarily. And yes, they will try to protect you, but they're not going to necessarily keep you from every little possibility that could go wrong.
No, because you have to tag the DM in. And the DM is not there, like Alice is saying, to protect you. They're there to protect the venue, to protect the experience. So if they think that you and your partner are causing trouble, they're going to kick both of you out because you're not listening to rules. And I see so many people at venues, and maybe this is just a down here thing. So I didn't really experience vaping in New York, but so many people will vape in venue spaces now. And it is so frustrating and I get sick from it. I didn't even realize how bad it was. I kept getting headaches at certain venues. I just thought it was the recycled air. But no, it gets bad. And someone said vetting and how to properly do is important. It is, and most people are getting it wrong. I've had situations where people, since vetting has come around, some of you have gotten way too comfortable with thinking you have a right to vet random people. You do not. We are privacy before vetting. I argue, and this would be a great thing, that vetting should be consented to. You shouldn't just be trying to vet people that don't consent to be vetting. Who the fuck is anyone to decide to vet someone, right?
Yeah, I personally am of the mindset that trying to seek any information that is not put out by that person in their own social media. So asking friends about them, asking around about them requires that they know that they are actively being vetted. And I know for a lot of people, they're going to be like, well, that's contradictory. They'll get all their ducks in a row when stuff. It's not, you don't get to determine that your vetting process is allowed to risk their privacy. Sorry. If you can't communicate to them that you want to vet them and you don't trust that they will not somehow tell everybody to tell you they're an awesome person, once you declare that you're going to vet them, then right there you have your answer about whether or not you trust them. You don't even need to bother vetting them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think privacy has to be put over vetting. Everyone's like, oh, we have to make sure you're safe or not safe. You've missed it. Community-wise, all this vetting bullshit, you all have missed the mark. There's too much consent violation to go on to think that you guys are vetting actually does what you think it does. in a community way. Beyond community, we've talked about this. We had a show about it, if I'm not mistaken, Alice, where we talked about vetting. Yeah, we did. And in that show, we went back and forth with the idea that vetting has to be very personal and drilled down. It can't be done by strangers in a community. You know, you can ask someone, hey, we want to vet you. Do you have any references? You don't get to go out. I was outed under the guise of vetting so someone could cause me problems. Someone who I don't believe has a podcast anymore, probably because their behaviors were so horrible. And they wound up being dangerous. But it's so funny being here long enough, now being one of the sole survivors of what Kink Education is on this platform and seeing a new generation come in. I see the old tricks again. People trying to take over a space, be book talk, get views. Thank my neurodivergence. I don't care about views. You guys never hear me talk about views. The only time I'll say it is we must be doing something right because we're getting more views now. And that is just acknowledging that, hey, people are liking our flow right now. Even TikTok's supporting us. Beyond that, you're not going to hear me talk about views. We're not doing view content. We're doing content for safety. And while we're talking about this, I do want to say that vetting, privacy, all that's great. 101. This is where we're at. I know Alice wants to jump in. We have 8 minutes left on TikTok. So go ahead, Alice.
I was just going to say, I think one of the biggest misnomers with vetting is people believe that just because a venue says they do vetting or a group says they've done vetting, that everybody in that group is now suddenly a safe person to play with. I can't tell you how many brand new people I have seen just all but fall into a predator's lap because they, in their newness, they understandably don't realize that just because a venue said they vetted them doesn't mean they did a thorough enough job for you to put your life on the line and play with them.
Yeah, I hate to put it, but it's going to be a topic we're going to talk about. Predators are often popular. Predators have inserted themselves in places and they call themselves community leaders. And I know there's probably some great people out there who use the moniker community leader. I have not met one. The people who I think are leaders in the community never have to say it. It's kind of like the old saying goes, if you're a tough guy, you don't have to tell people you're a tough guy because people know you're a tough guy, right? People don't question it. If you're going around telling everyone how tough you are, you're trying to build something that's not there naturally. And I feel that way about community leaders. Like, oh, we're doing this. And just a little bit of a rant as I say goodbye, because this will be a topic for 101. When community leaders stand up and go, I do so much work, everyone should appreciate me, other people should just run the events if they think they can do better. I want to stress to you all that those are the same people who will go out of their way to damage anyone else's ability to do anything else they cannot control. Alice, do you have any closing thoughts for our TikTok feed? We are officially opening our chat room, our StreamYard to people. Hopefully we can get Alice back on there. We'll see if that works again. But anything to add on our way out of TikTok this evening?
Thanks for joining, everybody. Keep sending suggestions and comments on the videos, and we'll keep trying to get more content out for you.
And we certainly look forward to being back on our normal channel. We definitely saw a dip in the people who were able to reach us because it was hard to tell everyone. Sorry for people who came and watched this after and we didn't get to be on the channel you expected us to be on. This all happened afterwards. And again, I don't have a firm reason to why they did it. I just know that there is a censorship going around that's crazy. I hope to see you on the other side, Alice. If anything, I guess you could be in the comments section on YouTube. We're only going to be 15 minutes. I'm going to put the link out now for everyone to join me. Remember, as I'm saying this, because we got a couple minutes, if you're ever on one of these shows, whether you're leaving a comment, whether you are coming on screen, there is a danger of being outed. You can be outed by doing this. Your voice, I was just talking about this today, that having your face or your voice on the internet will soon be trackable. Be mindful of that. If you are worried about being outed, send me a comment. Don't use your voice. Don't use your face. Just send me a comment and we'll we'll talk about it that way. I can read comments and I'll answer you, I promise. To those of you here on Free Hugs and Spanks for our first and probably last KOOL episode, make sure that you guys have seen us over, followed us over on Kink Educator, where we normally will be doing this show. I'm signing off just a little early, just so you guys know, on TikTok, because we plan to put this, the KOOL shows are always meant to be recorded and kept for prosperity. We went to YouTube in case there was an issue. Thank you, TikTok, for not having an issue tonight. We're going to sign off on this channel from now on with all the lives from the one from Kink Educator, as I said, and that is BDSM is not inherently sexual. It is mental. We communicate about it. We negotiate about it. We talk about our risk profiles, our play profiles, aftercare and pre-care. We go through this all. We negotiate. We communicate. We use diaper. Did I ask permission extensively with representation? And only once we feel everyone has been represented do we get consent. Stay kinky, my friends. There'll be more KOOL programming throughout the summer. If you have a suggestion, please send it to us. Thank you for joining us this evening. From me, Kink Educator channel, Alice, and now Free Hugs and Spanks. Stay kinky, my friends. We'll see you at the next one. And now, of course, the weird 6 seconds. I heard that that's how long most men last. We are here. 69 views. Not going to be a record shatterer, but not bad. Not bad. 69 views. Getting the education out there. Wandering Alice has joined us. We're going to add her to the stage. I think something's better.
Does it sound like you can hear me?
I can. I don't know
wow. I joined from my phone instead of my tablet this time. I don't know if that made the difference, but we're going to go with it.
I might be able to solve it. You don't have to mute now. StreamYard, you don't have to mute. I guarantee you.
I'm still going to keep doing it just out of habit at this point.
Fair enough. Is the side of your tablet the sound off button toggled to off? Because believe it or not, that screws with StreamYard for some reason.
I don't know. I'll mess around with my tablet. Maybe we'll have to do one of these just to test some things sometime.
Yeah, we could just do it behind the scenes. Maybe we'll have like a meeting with some TikTok people, do an exclusive thing. You know, just come meet us, like keep it down to, I think I'm allowed whatever I'm allowed on this plan. So this is a free plan. We'll do it that way. We are still live, so I do see you all, and we're going to keep talking. Shaw says, yes, they hear you very well. Yeah, the quality of sound here is going to be much better, by the way, than it ever is on TikTok. You can go back and watch the video later, and you'll be like, oh, that is good. Even you talking from the outside with the phone being right up here, it is going to be so much better. So we have about 17 minutes to hang out with all of you people in the attendance, my students, my kinksters, my potential friends. That's a conversation I want to have. Friends and kink. I think that we've forgotten friendship shouldn't just be given. And I feel like in kink spaces we meet and we're like, oh, can I be your friend? And there was a time on TikTok, I mean on FetLife, I understood that because it was the only option. I could friend you or I could not. But they brought up follow. And I can't advocate for this enough. Do not friend people when you first meet them. Follow each other. And I tell people, I've had the hard conversation. You know how many people have been really pissed off about it? 0.
I also feel like if they're going to get very mad about me asking them to follow instead of trying to friend me, that's okay. I'm glad I didn't friend you. Proved my point.
I think that's the first test of an actual, what is going to be a relationship. And we say relationship a lot of times for just romantic, but it's not just that. Friendships are a relationship and take work. And I think that's going to be a topic with the 101. And I started it, and I didn't get to say this on TikTok, but a lot of what we did in 001 is going to be revisited and added onto. 001 was the basic. We're going to go to some of those. We're going to probably deliberately stitch them and go for 101. Here's the things to add on to. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me, a lot of work this summer, but it's going to be worth it. Because think about this, by the time we're at fall, when someone comes and asks us, Alice, we can point now.
Yep.
Oh, sure, we got you covered. Here it is. If you have a question, leave it in the comments. I'll answer the question if we didn't cover it. But understand 1001 might lead to a 101 follow-up. So you got to keep in mind that. I keep getting asked to play when they are wanting friends. Yeah, right, Shaw? We have, like, let's be friends. Can we fuck? What the hell? By the way, on YouTube, and this is going to be, we're going to continue to do, like, an after show. I can curse a little more. I'm going to try not to. Alice knows how much I curse, but I'm trying to. One of the things that came up for TikTok, they don't like cursing.
It's the New Yorker in you.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be hard. It's funny. I talked to my partner, Em, you know him, and I go, hey, can I ask you just a simple question? Do you think I curse too much? And, like, she had been holding it in. The reservoir broke open. Well, you do it in front of kids, you do it in here, and it was like a laundry list of places I do it that they find inappropriate. And I was like, how long have you been holding on to this one? I'm so sorry.
Without getting too specific, are they from the region you're currently living in these days?
No.
Okay.
I think they said it on the program. They're from the Midwest, just because I don't know if they.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So they are from a part where, like, and I'm not going to make any jokes. Sounds like they're from an area that is a little 20, 30 years behind the rest of us. Mm-hmm. We're cursing, modesty's a thing. So definitely different values than the New York I went to. I've taken them to New York, and they kind of understand me better having gone to New York now. Kind of amazed by it. But yeah, Shaw's right. I keep getting asked to play when they are wanting friends, right?
I feel like you could almost do, and I don't know if it's so much a 101, but you could almost do an entire class on how to approach people and just go through all the ways not to do it, and you could easily fill an hour. Because like, I also feel like nobody is okay with being like, no, you're just an acquaintance anymore. It's okay to tell somebody they're not your friend, they're just an acquaintance. Like, I feel like the days of the Book of Faces has really ruined the fact that it's okay to not be friends with absolutely everybody you come across in life.
But even Facebook has switched to follow now.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think that's a lesson we teach kids that we're not adhering to as adults. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're friends now. We're friends. I remember I wound up getting put into a pack, and it was one of those moments where I was friends with two of them, one being my partner, M, my best friend. And what would be fourth, but third person to me, wanted us all to create this like little pack. And I remember the social pressure of the moment. Here are two people that I consider good friends, and here's this new person that wants us all to be a pack. And like, do I get a vote? I mean, at that point, do you really get a vote? So you can either be cool or not cool. And that's just, I think there's a lot of social pressures with things like that. I've gotten to a point, I think you've seen it, Alice, where I'm telling people, no, if you ask me to friend me and I've never spoken to you, then you're already showing me that you're a red flag. Well, on Facebook, why are you trying to be my friend? I don't want strangers to be a friend. And I think acquaintance is a good thing. I also go as far as to tell you this. If I haven't talked to you in the last year, we're not friends. Friends go out of their way to talk to each other within a year. I don't care if it's a passing Facebook thing, but after a year, yeah, I don't think that.
I'm a big fan, especially with FetLife, of doing like annual, or if you're busy enough, biannual cleanup, friends list cleanup. I was a big fan of it when I used Facebook, because the reality is people are going to come and go out of your life. That's the nature of being human. You know, you don't necessarily need somebody you haven't talked to in 2-3 years to have the same level of access to your social media that they did when you were talking on a weekly basis. And that's fine. But do your work to clean that up, because one of the biggest things, and this is another part of the topic of friends, is people will use your friends list as a vetting evidence. Well, I'm friends with so-and-so, I'm clearly a good person, because they would never be friends with a bad person. How many people on FetLife are probably friends with someone they've never met, and even more, never played with, and now that person's trying to tell you, well, I'm friends with them, so I'm safe. It's also another reason to clean up your friends list, yeah. I don't think you should ever rely on the friends list being some sort of validation that a person is a safe person to play with or a safe person for you, but people do it all the time. I got another one.
Jenny. Hey, Jenny. Would basics of play be good for one-on-one? I actually do think that could be a good conversation. I think that's a great one. And I think you just pack it like we've done a lot of times. We won't teach it. We'll talk about it. You talk about basics, like what's rope bondage. 101 certainly should have all that. And that's a great suggestion. Thank you very much.
Well, and to me, that goes to it. It's the basic of different types of play, but also the basic, like, I call it the anatomy of a scene. And we've taught that class before. You have all of the pre-scene, the active scene, and the post-scene activities, right? Everybody during a scene, now this doesn't directly apply, but doesn't not apply to dynamics on an ongoing basis. But there is this kind of anatomy of a scene that's just this baseline. This is how this should flow, regardless of what the actual content of each of those phases are.
Yeah, and just even saying like impact play, if you hear this term, this is what it refers to. Edge play is this thing. So you can just go down it. You know what we're kind of pissed me off today? I go through and I see what other content creators are talking about with kinks, and it's mostly kink shaming. I get pissed off at, oh, how horrible my kinks are. And today someone said, oh, my horrible kinks, sensation play. I was like, the fuck? First off, that's not even a kink. That's a scene. To me, that is not. And Jenny, I did add you. I hope you can hear us. I don't know if maybe you're trying to do on a tablet, because those are sometimes problematic. If you are on a tablet, just make sure it's not in silence mode. Sometimes mics don't work that way. But like, I was like, sensation play is not. First off, most people get sensation play wrong nowadays. They say sensation play is just touching. This is back to the DM, Dungeon Master. No, sensation play is meant to focus on the human's body's sensations. So you have these teachers now are like, anything is sensation, impact play is sensation play. No, it is not. If you want impact play to be about sensation play, you're talking to the person. You're telling them how their body feels. You're making them focus. That's what sensation play. It is focusing and suspending some sensations. So you want someone to taste how something is, but you put nose plugs in so they never know what they're about to do. Alice is apparently gone away. I don't know what that was about. Hopefully it's not my internet. We do have about 7 minutes left, though. Oh, no, Alice is back.
I accidentally backed right out of the website.
That's fine. It happens to us all. I've done it many a times, and I'm hosting. I'll just disappear for a minute and be like, fuck. But, yeah, I think that's great, Jenny. Jenny had a great idea. And we have, again, I can't pronounce his name. Maybe you can see it and tell me how to pronounce this, Alice, while I read the comment. Another 101 topic, possibly, what to expect when you're going to a tasting. A tasting is something that barely happens, but that's great 101.
I love tasting events when they are done well with consent highlighted at the forefront. I'm a big fan of tasting events. Or you can do tasting events, but you can also just do a tasting in kind of a one-on-one as part of the negotiation process if it's agreed to and consented by both parties. Big fan of that.
So I watch Newsroom a lot, even now. It's been off for years. And I know the name he's talking about. Don
Quixote?
Quixote, thank you. Now
is that it? Okay.
I didn't know. I've never seen it, but they've talked about it so much in that particular show. The whole premise is based upon them rebooting the Newsroom, and they want to be like Don Quixote. So it is. I want to listen to the book now. It is on the list. I think I actually have it on my Amazon. Jenny, I'm sorry we're not connecting right today.
You're fine.
Oh,
I can hear you.
woohoo!
What is a tasting event? I'm sorry.
Ooh, you want to take it? You want me to take it?
Well,
Or
we
should I
have
just
4
Google this?
minutes, so let
I'll
me
just
take it
Oh,
just so I can quickly run it, and we can get
yep.
on to something else. A tasting event is usually when people get together to actually show off different things. So you have one station for wax play, one station for fire play, one station for electric play, one station generally for like leather cuffs and stuff, restraints, so people can kind of feel them. It's not play; it's very basic. It's like this is how this would feel. Sensation toys like a Wartenberg wheel, which you should always make sure someone is alcohol wiping it before anyone puts anything on you. Things like that. It's very rare that it happens. There was one in the community I was part of about, I want to say 3 years ago. It was the last time they did it. I did electric play at the event and described it. And some people get it wrong. Some people just bring their like toy bag and they show everything in their toy bag. That is not a tasting. A tasting is generally focusing on one topic like impact. These are all things for impact. I can show you something when things slow down at the end. That's a tasting.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I need to look into that.
They will vary. Different communities may do them more frequently than others. It depends.
Okay, so I do want to say this. I don't want to say we have to cut the conversation off. This is YouTube. We should go longer than an hour. But sometimes StreamYard and YouTube, we can get kicked at 1 hour. I'm happy to stick around for at least another 5 minutes. But if we suddenly get disconnected, please understand it was not me. Sometimes, especially because our YouTube channel is a little newer, I think they limit us for 1 hour, but we'll see. I haven't gotten a warning yet, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And I like hearing this right here. We do a tasting every month and do a negotiation class before every event, and all tasters do negotiation before play. I like that. So Jenny,
I love that.
I think you had another question. Go for it.
With the setting up the scene, so a lot of the time whenever I'm in negotiation discussing anything of the sort of going and playing with someone, the first thing they say is, why do we have to do that? Let's just fuck. Why can't we just do it like they used to do and just fuck? There's so many that are stepping into the community that are saying things like that. That's
Well, they're
not what
vanilla.
I'm interested in.
That's my number one sign of somebody cosplaying as a kinkster.
Yep.
Right.
Frankly. For me personally, as someone who typically plays asexually, that for me is actually a red flag. I was like, you know what? There's no way this will ever work. So I'm going to go on my merry way. That's my personal red flag because I don't like to play sexually with a bunch of people. It's just my preference.
I completely agree.
Right.
I hate that people do that. And we called him out. We call it the vanillification of kink. FetLife is going through it now. Well, we could do all that. Or you just fuck. You could just suck my dick. And that is the shit going around on fucking FetLife. And it really fucking bothers me. I can't even tell you how much it bothers me. We're going to have Sean join us. Sean might be having the same issues everyone else is having. But it takes a minute to get used to StreamYard. Once you do, it's great. Sean, have you figured it out?
Hello.
We can hear you.
Can you hear us? Hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear us? I think is the different question now. Do you have earbuds in or your volume up?
No, I don't have earbuds, but the volume is up. Let me put it down.
You got no. As long as you can
We can hear you fine.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
What's going on, Sean?
Nothing much. Just joined you guys. What's happening?
Middle of the class.
Mm-hmm. So how is the 101 going?
I think we're doing well. We've had some great suggestions. It's not a one-day process, and that's what bothers me about a lot of 101s in communities. They hit someone with so much, consent is this, we're done. I spent 1 hour talking about consent in front of a community. They went back, and 3 of the people in that class were consent violators eventually. Were people that did things that went against the class. Because if you can't even grasp consent, how much are you going to grasp in a 101 class? And so many people just, it's difficult. That's why we're going to take our time and do this right. That's why we're doing it over an entire season. and we're going to continue it beyond the season. But the only difference at the end of the season, our goal, me and Alice have, is to be able to point to a playlist. Go to this playlist, here it is. And that's why feedback from you, even Alice will make a comment, and if the comment's good, we're going to add it to the playlist, and Alice usually does. While Kink Educator won't do a lot with comments anymore, there is definitely a goal to have comments be part of Kink Educator. We made it over an hour. We're still alive and going. So.
I know. I've been watching the clock, waiting to see.
So am I. I was like, am I here? Am I here? I'm like, for the first seconds. Because sometimes you have that abrupt end where it's just like, it looks like things are wrong, but no, we're here. So if you have a question, Sean, feel free to ask. Jenny, did that answer your question about the tasting?
Yes, it did. Thank you. I'm going to look into that. Hopefully we have some of those locally.
I haven't seen a tasting in Florida, Southwest Florida specifically, in my area, in a long time. And we have talked about trying to do a tasting, but you'd need more of a private venue. I'm actually talking about going to Tampa to maybe try to host a few things. I'm still trying to see what happens with the venue. I know they just changed leadership just a month or two ago. So kind of waiting for a lot of smoke to clear out here in Florida, because in Central Florida, the Orlando thing went down. There's been a lot for Florida this year, but I would love to see tastings show back up. New York was amazing. We had tastings at least every 6 months of Paddles. RIP Paddles, I miss you. Longest running dungeon in New York City history, and sadly no longer running. 2020. Oh man, I teared when I heard that. That was my childhood. I went to, not childhood, but my adolescence.
The beginning years of your kinky journey, your kinky life. Well,
17
legal.
and up. New York. Yeah. 17 was weird in the 90s. You got to do a lot of things at 17 you probably shouldn't. But yeah, 17, and I now took my partner to a museum, and sure enough, there was something from Battles, and she's like, "Look, your past is in a museum." I'm like, "I'm a fucking dinosaur."
Well, and I mean, I hope you guys are able to get that, because they're such a beneficial event.
Sean, did you say something?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, hearing you guys enjoying the talk. 17 years for me, it's 0 years. So but I wanted to also ask, like, you referred to this playlist. Like, I don't know much about your group. So what's the playlist?
So I'm assuming you haven't met me through TikTok then?
Never.
Okay. I am on TikTok. I am Kink Educator on TikTok. When we hit 10,000 followers, it gave us this cool option to start organizing our videos into different topics. And what I have done is me and Alice have talked about how to do this right. And we're going to fine tune it for months until we get it right. This will be a reference point. So if you were to ask me, "Hey, Rob, is there any video that I could show someone who's new, or I could just kind of know more about," and I'm drawing a blank on all. I just did all the topics. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. Negotiation. So how would you first describe negotiation? We're like, no problem. Go to my profile on TikTok, just Kink Educator. I come up right away. I'm established enough now that I am like the first one on top. So when I first did this, I was like 10th on the list, despite being the only one with that username. But now I'm the top. You just go there to the profile, and right there at the top of the video. So when you're on the profiles, the channel's profile page, you have all the little stuff I write and all that. Ignore that. Go to the videos and just look above the videos. There are, and I'll see if I can do it. It didn't focus in when I tried it.
But do you need to have a TikTok account for that? Because I'm not on TikTok. Okay.
For this,
in order to see the videos, you need to have an account.
Yes, because we are specifically marked as 18 plus for obvious reasons. If you can't access TikTok, we have spoken, me and Alice, about doing a kind of, when we feel more secure, we might be doing more YouTube stuff. So hit the subscribe button. Alice was talking about how we were talking about doing a YouTube show where we went over different videos and just watched them and then talked to the audience for the YouTube viewers. Because I know there are certain countries that don't have TikTok. There are certain people who just don't want to be on TikTok, and like YouTube. YouTube is easier to share actually on Facebook and stuff like that. They hate TikTok on Facebook and on Twitter and all that. So we are thinking of it. I think, Alice, didn't we talk about like in the fall, maybe winter, turning this show KOOL, Kinks of Our Lives, into a review of TikTok videos where we'll watch them on YouTube and be able to show it. And I thought that was a brilliant idea where we'll just play commentary.
I don't remember talking to you about that, but I love the idea.
It was one of those weird video like lives where we were just spitballing, and you were like,
okay,
video where we combined all the TikToks, and this is before we got to the playlist. You're talking like 6 months ago, but this is my mind holds the thread. It's the writer in me.
Yeah.
So the idea is what gives birth, and I'll come back to you. It's like my friend who I do comic books with, Michael Seeley. He'll be like, yeah, I want a Hawaiian hero, but I want a character that does that's the president. I'm like, cool. So I wrote a whole story, and this is back in 2021, and you'll instantly all know what I'm talking about. So we were making this story, and I was like, all right, so here's how we're going to launch it. There's going to be a fight at the Capitol. They're going to blow up the Capitol. I give him this story January 1st. He starts doing pencils. What happened January 6th?
That story was no longer marketable.
Or at least we couldn't put it out there now because people would be like, whoa, are they MAGA? You know, like it got too hot, and there was actually art we never got to use. We will reference that as a point in the story's history and never actually tell the full story as comic book canon because it's a topic we don't want to touch. And it's so weird. I made a story at one time, and I do have to get going in 4 minutes, but I made a story one time about suicide, and I can't talk about this on TikTok. That's why YouTube will be a good place for us because we can go a little deeper and get a little more adult. This channel, too, is 18. As I'm sure you knew, Sean, when you had to sign in, you had to be signed in on YouTube. If you didn't notice, it means you're already registered as an 18-year-old. But we were talking about suicide, and my character literally, the one that the story was about, had forced someone to commit suicide by bullying them online. I shit you not. That was when I was just finishing the story, they came out with the trial. I think it was in England, if my memory serves. And I was like, oh, fuck, can we even release this now? Because it was done. We were kickstarting it in 2 days, and they announced this trial. And I was like, oh, fuck. Am I Nostradamus and not just getting the winning lottery tickets? Because I would rather the winning lottery tickets.
Very true.
I do appreciate you all being here tonight with me. Definitely stay tuned. If you ever want to reach out to me, Sean, you can ask for content here too. We're going to be building this channel up too, because we need an alternative for TikTok in 90 days, because everything is pointing to the fact that in 90 days, if they do not reach something, they will no longer extend TikTok. So what are we at? June? So in September, we might be making a lot of fucking YouTube suddenly to transfer over a lot of content. But we'll just do it by playlist and we'll go from there. But I don't see TikTok going away from America. But we have 10,000 followers there, and we're going to continue. I was surprised to find out that our YouTube channel got 100 people without me even paying attention. We weren't paying attention to the subscriber. Oh, sorry about that. So we have 59, but they gave us live access before 100 because apparently some of our views went there. Didn't even know we had gotten live access. And I was kind of like, oh, shit, here we go. And we jumped on it. But who wants to do any closing thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, before I get out of here? Jenny,
I got nothing.
Sean, anything to add? If not, I'm just going to sign off.
No, nothing. But thanks for letting me in, and let's hope to keep in touch.
I'm here. Just hit that subscribe, and we'll be happy to stay community.
And sorry in advance for my stupid questions in future.
No stupid questions. The stupid thing is not to ask the question. Always ask, my friend.
Thanks, man.
All right, so just to wrap it up, this is going to be something we're going to be doing more here on YouTube. We are going to be building up this avenue as well. Expect to see Alice be co-hosting some stuff when we can get things together. I appreciate you all putting trust in me to be your educator. As you guys heard, BDSM is not inherently sexual. You heard that. What you also didn't know is how much of education is needed to be part of BDSM. So please continue your journey through education, not just with me, but Evie Lou Pine, Moxie Rose, and Jenny. I'm sorry the connection was bad tonight. We'll be back in the future. Hopefully we can work that connection out in the future. Alice, as always, thank you for co-hosting Cool with me. Stay cool, kids. Stay kinky. And remember, consent matters. So put it in front of everything you do. Make sure to get it without coercion. Go properly. Use diaper. Did I ask permission? Extensively with representation. And use the new acronym. Needs, expectations, and wants to set up your play. I'm out of here. Thank you all for being part of this. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the next cool episode.